valuable large objects. Oh, you're too kind. How can you give such an expensive gift? Nothing. Thanks to Brother John these days, we all made some money. I bought an electric fan. Hehe, Jiangxi is very honest in the village. My family is poor because of honesty. You make some money by raising cattle and farming land for people, but later, because of following Zhang Anping, help catch lobster. Delivery has also made a lot of money these days. For him, the money I made these days, more than he has made in years. This is thanks to following Zhang Anping. Yeah. No, I got you some good wine. Wang Er carrying 4 bottles of Maotai wine. This startled Zhang Yangbin. My darling, Mutai is expensive, and it's not very easy to buy. He likes to have a drink, but I never dared to expect to taste a mouthful of Mutai. This gift from Wang Er is too expensive, you bastard. Coming soon. How did you buy such a good wine? Take it back now, it's too expensive. Is this wine for the common people? Say, how can it be? As long as you like it, just like it. I'm still thinking about other things that I can't get my hands on. Wang Er saw Zhang Yangbin say this. Happy face, open smile. This is really Zhang Anping's treat, too sudden. Otherwise, he wouldn't have rushed to prison. Just bring some wine. Maybe he'll think about it. Give something better and more valuable than this. After all, he was with Zhang Anping. Run a cage processing plant, managing so many people, all day long. Others have not less flattered him. As for the money, he naturally made a lot of money. He is not afraid to spend money on gifts. I am afraid of something delivered in a hurry. The Zhang family doesn't like it. But look at Zhang Yangbin like this. A big stone fell to the ground in his heart. Wang Er and Jiangxi are also here for the first time. The house here. Keep praising this house. Song Xiaochen listened to them praise this house as good. No matter how good it is rented. It doesn't look like his family bought a house. It's just been a while. Why didn't you see it in this yard? Other residents come back. Uncle Zhang, the person who rents the house with you, he's not back yet. That's nice. It's not easy to meet a few good tenants these days. Didn't Brother Zhang buy this house? Didn't you buy it and say that this house is rented? How did you become a buyer? Brother Zhang originally said to rent a house, but then I took a fancy to the house in this place. I just bought it. This is what I heard him say. Say you like it here. Especially this big osmanthus tree, I just bought it. Ah, I bought it. Brother, this house is very expensive. My second brother, do you know how much it is? Song Xiaoqian's heart skipped a beat, amazed. This house was actually bought by Zhang Anping. How much is this? 40,000 or 50,000, I don't know the specifics of this. Anyway, such a good house is definitely not cheap, but our brother Zhang has money. This money means nothing to him. Uncle Zhang is still lucky, still fighting hard. Heard 40,000 was 50,000. Song Xiaoqian's eyes turned green. This pain is humiliating and left at grandma's house. At first I thought Zhang Anping was jealous of him. Now it seems he looked at himself. It must be like watching a fool clown. So expensive. Brother Anping is afraid that there is a lot of pressure. Borrow a lot of money. This money is nothing to Brother Zhang. He makes a lot of money with crayfish. Besides, he has a cage processing factory. Hey, where do you need to borrow money to buy a house? Maybe he only earns enough money in one day. Jiangxi's words startled Song Xiaoqian. For a time, Song Xiaoqian's heart was in a mess. I can't believe it. That's not possible. How could Zhang Ping become rich all of a sudden? Oops, you will tout Zhang Anping. He's not that good. This is your lift. Zhang Yangbing said words of reproach. But the tone and the smile on his face, how can you hide it? But let's be honest. Yeah, I don't know how much my son earns. It should be a lot anyway. Uncle Zhang, we are just telling the truth. Really didn't blow no blow. Several people are talking. I heard someone shouting outside the door. Is there anyone in the house? Come out and help. A few people hurried out the door, only to see 3 large items placed right in front, with Wang Daji following behind on a motorcycle. Brothers, come give us a hand and help move this TV and washing machine. When they saw the things on the ground, they were completely dumbfounded. Because lying there was a color TV, a refrigerator, and a fully automatic washing machine. Oh my, I've only ever heard of these things, never really seen them. In this village, only Wang Er's family had a black and white TV, and the village chief Zhang Shabing's family had a refrigerator. As for the washing machine, they had only heard of it, but never seen one. Never actually seen one. Did they deliver this to the wrong place? Zhang Yangbin rubbed his eyes, not quite believing it. I've had my eye on these things for a while. I was thinking of sending them over when your family holds a housewarming celebration. But since Brother John doesn't plan on throwing a banquet, I figured I might as well bring them over today. It turns out that ever since Wang Daji learned that Zhang Anping had bought this house, he had been planning to send something as a gesture. He knew in his heart that even though he only got 30% of the profit from Yipin Shangxia, he could still make 3,000 yuan a day. That's big business. In a month, it adds up to over 100,000 yuan. Even considering the off-seasons and peak seasons, it's still hundreds of thousands of yuan in profit over the year. After thinking about it, he went to the department store early to order 3 big-ticket items, along with some extra cash from his recent street stall business and the dividends from Yiping Xiangsha. He had plenty of cash on hand, so he decided to buy Zhang Anping the best one in one go: a 29-inch color TV plus a double-door refrigerator and a fully automatic washing machine. All 3 items were the best of their kind. The money he spent on these could have bought 2 or 3 houses in this area. But Wang Daji didn't feel the least bit of heartache. After all, he'd earned so much money following Brother Zhang. What's spending a little on this? The one good thing about Wang Daji is that he's grateful, generous, and has a big heart. But at this moment, Song Xiaoqian was silent. He kept staring at Wang Daji. He didn't know that Zhang Anping was the real boss behind Yiping Xiangxia, but he knew that Wang Daji was the official face of Yiping Xiangxia. Song Xiaoqian could understand why Zhang Si and Wang Er were giving gifts to Zhang Anping. But why would Wang Daji, the boss of Yiping Xiangxia, give gifts to Zhang Anping? What was he after? Song Xiaoqian kept guessing in his mind. To figure out the relationship between Wang Daji and Zhang Anping, he shamelessly stayed at Zhang Anping's house. After entering, Wang Daji and Wang Er helped to adjust the color TV and to tinker with the automatic washing machine and refrigerator. The group was sweating profusely, completely clueless on how to use the automatic washing machine. Wang Daji reassured everyone, saying, "No worries, I've hired a technician to come tomorrow. If we can't get it working today, just leave it for now. After all, none of us have seen this kind of thing before, right?" Wang Daji was feeling a bit awkward at this point. "Did you buy a broken one? Why can't you install it no matter what?" Song Xiaotian jeered, making Wang Daji even more embarrassed. Could it really be broken? They said it had a warranty. It shouldn't be faulty. Anyway, the technician is coming tomorrow. If we can't figure it out, we'll just have the technician install it. Maybe we're not using the right method. Wang Daji glanced at Song Xiaotian's mocking expression, but didn't get angry. At that moment, Zhang Anping came in. Seeing a group of people sweating buckets, huddled around the washing machine, with no clue what to do, he asked, "What's going on? Who sent this stuff?" As soon as Zhang Anping came back, the crowd swarmed toward him like they'd found their backbone. Wang Daji quickly said, "These things were a housewarming gift for Zhang Anping. But we're not sure if the washing machine is broken, it just won't work. These appliances are such a waste, they're incomplete and expensive." Zhang Anping, feeling a bit speechless, looked at the appliances. A 29-inch Panda brand color TV, costing thousands, heavy and with poor picture quality. The refrigerator was a double door, barely over a meter tall. Expensive, but not as solid as older appliances. As for the washing machine that had everyone thinking it was broken, Zhang Anping took a glance and couldn't help but laugh. "You guys are too funny. This thing requires a special faucet to install. Wang Daji, go grab one with your motorcycle, and I'll install it later." "Got it, Brother Zhang, I'm on it. How could such an expensive automatic washing machine be broken?" "No way." Wang Daji laughed and replied, quickly leaving the courtyard to buy the special faucet for the washing machine. And as for Song Xiaoqian, at this time he looked at Zhang Anping in surprise. "Wang Daji, the big boss of this fresh shrimp, why in front of Zhang Anping? It's like a little floor. Not only to give such a heavy gift, and I'm so happy to be called. You know, Liu Zhongtao once said, someone who can come up with a sales model for fresh shrimp is a talent. It's pretty remarkable. Don't underestimate others." He did not underestimate Wang Daji, but what the hell is this? Zhang Anping? Why so hung? Song Xiaotian feels that his head is like Zhang. The lake can't be turned around. Wang Daji has a motorcycle and the speed is really fast, but after more than 10 minutes, he brought a faucet and tape for shoveling faucets. Zhang Anping installed the washing machine in 3 or 2 strokes. This made Wang Daji lick again. "Zhang Jiang is worthy of me. Amazing. We worked on it for a long time. Didn't find the crux of the problem. I thought the washing machine was broken. Who knows, you can tell it at a glance. It was amazing. It's easy. Just calling you for dinner. You all buy so many things. If you are really rich, just buy some house facades nearby. Better than buying these appliances." Zhang Anping's last words were addressed to Wang Daji. "These appliances he sent today. You can buy 2 or 3 here, a house with a small courtyard. And 20 years later, own this pile of electrical appliances. It is estimated that it will only cost a few hundred yuan to sell waste, but the value of that small courtyard will increase by more than 10 times. This is not a thought for Brother Zhang to move. A little thought." Wang Daji was stunned for a moment. Then he went crazy, and the god of wealth showed the way again. Who does Wang Daji trust the most in this world? That must be Zhang Anping. He regards him as a noble person. Look at it as the god of wealth. What the god of wealth said, he always acts as an edict. The ruthless man whose daughter-in-law objects that he wants to divorce his daughter-in-law. So after hearing Zhang Anping say this, immediately his mind started working. I have to save money to buy a house around here. Buy a big house. Brother Chengzhan, I'll be looking for a house here later. Be your neighbor. You can also have a care in the future. Wang Daji said this. Song Xiaoqian was stunned again. He only thinks that the boss of this immortal warrior. Why is it not as powerful as imagined? He's like a little brother simp in front of Zhang Anping. This time, Song Xiaoqian saw that Zhang Anping was free. Pretending to be a little angry, he walked up to Zhang Anping. Zhang Anping, you are a little boring. You bought a house and didn't tell me. You didn't ask. Besides, we don't know each other very well. What did you say? We played together in open crotch pants. It's better to sleep in the same bed at night. Zhang Anping's words are all about this. Song Xiaoqian also deliberately pretended to be confused. Zhang Anping is too lazy to pay attention to him. Turned around and left. I saw no one around. Zhang Anping. Wang Daji came over. Zhang Gang, let's find a place with no one. I have something to tell you. It's not convenient here. Let's go outside and talk. The two came to a place where no one was. Wang Daji looked back. I found that Song Xiaoqian did not follow Lai. Then he said in a low voice, Brother Zhang, that Song Xiaoqian, are you close? My news can be confirmed. Lier Tu is leaning on him. He carried the banner of Liu Zhongtao, got a 9-grade fairy, and I also dug 2 Osaka masters from Yupin Xianxian. One of the masters has secretly told me, the other one didn't say a word. I guess I have to go, but every time you fry the ingredients, I did it myself. So the master doesn't understand either. At most, I know a little fur. Don't worry about this. In fact, the most important ingredient, Wang Daji doesn't even know what it is. Every time it is sent by Zhang Anping, something ground into powder. He had no idea what it was. In this way, the lobster recipe for Yupin fresh shrimp is a secret. Well, stare at that grade 9 fresh shrimp. Song Xiaoqian has no IQ. That Liu Zhongtao is very smart, but if he dares to reach out this time, let him know it's great. But I want his champion service. So this time, I'm still behind the scenes. On the surface, you come, you do it like this. Zhang Anping asked Wang Daji to come closer. Then put yourself against the idea of the wine fairy. Say it little by little. That Wang Daji nodded uncontrollably. Happy eyebrows and cooled back at the same time. I just think that Brother Zhang really takes one step and counts as 3 steps. Some operations that I didn't understand at first. At this moment, I remembered that it was unintentional and not a stroke of God. That's incredible. From now on, I just need to cling to his coattails. No need to worry or think about anything else. At the dinner table, everyone gathered joyfully. Among them, Zhang Yongbin was the happiest. In his lifetime, he never thought he'd live in such a beautiful house, but his son did. And his son had so many friends bringing gifts, each one more valuable than the last. In an instant, their home had everything they needed. It was like a dream he never dared to imagine. Come boss Wang, I'll toast you with tea instead of wine. You've really spent a lot today. How will we ever repay this kindness? Uncle Zhang, please don't say that. It's only right. Nothing worth mentioning. Wang Daji stood up, humbly waving his hand, his attitude warm and respectful. Song Xiaoqian, sitting nearby, couldn't help but wonder, could it be that Wang Daji is interested in Zhang Anping's sister? But no, it doesn't seem like that. He couldn't figure it out. It just didn't make sense. The meal dragged on for a long time, until the afternoon, when everyone finally left, tipsy and happy. Even as he was leaving, Song Xiaoqian still wasn't satisfied. He pulled Zhang Anping aside. Brother, what's your relationship with Wang Daji? He gave you such expensive gifts. Nothing special, just friends. If there's any relationship, it's that all my lobsters go to him. Does that count as a connection? Yipinsha isn't something you can handle. Let it go, or you'll get into trouble. At best, you'll waste money. At worst, you'll end up in a lawsuit. Zhang Anping had said this before, but Song Xiaoqian hadn't taken it seriously. This time, after Zhang Anping repeated those words, he turned and left. When Song Xiaoqian got home, he quickly told everything he had seen to Song Xiaoya. This left Song Xiaoya in shock. Did Zhang Anping really buy such a big house? Did his friends really give him so many appliances? Why is this happening? He's not even a government official. Right, that's the thing. Since Zhang Anping told me to stop, otherwise at best, I'll waste money, at worst, I'll end up in jail. When Song Xiaoqian said this, Song Xiaoya laughed, her face full of disdain. How is that possible? It's just business. Getting into legal trouble? Who's he trying to fool? Don't listen to him. Your brother-in-law said the profit model of Yupin Xianxia is very strong. You can make hundreds of thousands a year, if not more. As Song Xiaoya said this, Song Xiaoqian's eyes lit up. Brother, I'm with you. Only a fool wouldn't go for it. I want to see how doing business can get me into legal trouble. Song Xiaotian didn't believe Zhang Anping's words either. On the other side, after resting for 2 days, Zhang Anping brought Zhang Yongbin to the police station. Seeing Zhang Yongbin feeling uneasy, Sini smiled and said, Uncle Zhang, don't be nervous, sit down, have some water. When we ask you something, just answer right away. As long as you don't hide or lie, there won't be any issues. The questioning soon began. Zhang Yongbin slowly recounted the events of that day. It was just past noon. At that time, my son Zhang Anping would go to the city every day. Sometimes I'd go to check on him, though I couldn't really help with anything, but seeing him gave me peace of mind. Zhang Anping began talking about the car accident, something Zhang Anping hadn't known about. It turned out that his father had always silently cared for him. I was standing by the roadside, looking towards the village, wondering if my son's donkey cart had left yet. Then suddenly, I heard a screeching sound, and the next thing I knew, I was thrown into the air. I saw a black Santana speeding ahead, about 30 or 40 meters towards the north exit of the city. I didn't see the license plate, but while I was on the ground, I saw a chubby man get out of the car. From a distance he glanced over, then got back in the car. And then? I don't remember anything. Do you remember if the chubby man had any distinctive features? I just remember he had a crew cut, looked about 30 years old. Other than that, I don't remember much. Zhang Anping scratched his head. It had been a long time, so he couldn't recall much else. But even this was enough to give Sun Yi a clue. He was already almost certain of who it was. Then, he had Zhang Anping look at a lineup of people. Zhang Anping was very nervous, having never done this before. He kept looking from one person to another, unsure and hesitant. Sun Yi didn't rush him, allowing him to take his time. Zhang Anping saw his father's nervousness, so he stepped forward and said, "It's okay. Dad, you're standing here safe and sound now, and that's already a good thing. Don't worry about the rest. Don't be nervous. Anping, I'm just afraid of identifying the wrong person. If I do, who'll pay for my hospital bills? So much money. Don't worry really. Trust Officer Sun. The fact that you're standing here is already the best outcome. We won't push for anything else." Zhang Anping looked at his son's firm and sharp gaze, and suddenly felt much calmer. He looked again at the lineup, and his eyes finally fixed on one person. Pointing at that person, he said with great certainty, "Number 9, it's him. It's that fat guy." Zhang Anping glanced at number 9, and his eyes flickered slightly. He recognized him. It was just as he had suspected earlier. That man was the driver of the Santana, the same chubby guy he had encountered. At this moment, the fat man was completely stunned, and after a long pause, he finally said, "I want to see Huang Zhengsheng, Boss Wang. Boss, that person insists it was me who hit him. I have old parents to care for, and young kids too. Don't worry about your own matters. Your family will be taken care of properly. I'll do my best to mediate. You might not even have to go to jail. For a rural guy like him, money will settle it all. There's nothing in this world that can't be solved with money." Huang Zhengsheng had his back to Zhang Anping and the others. Sun Yi overheard this and couldn't help but glance at Zhang Anping, murmuring quietly, "You wouldn't expect it, but Huang Zhengsheng really does treat his driver well." "Boss, you better keep your word," the driver said nervously. Don't worry. You've been with me for so many years. When have I ever gone back on my word? You still don't trust me." "Boss, you can ask my wife and parents. Rest assured, I've always worked hard, and even if I've made some mistakes, I know you won't abandon me. We'll do our best to settle things with the victim, and pay to make it all go away. You might not even need to go to the detention center." Huang Zhengsheng's words were so reassuring that anyone who didn't know better might think this driver was his own brother. Zhang Anping looked at Huang Zhengsheng, feeling that he didn't match the image of the boss Wang he had in his mind at all. Unless they were deeply entangled in some sort of interest, why else would he act like this? Sure enough, after they coaxed the driver, he finally admitted to being the one who hit the person. "That day, I was leaving the city, but I wasn't paying attention. The car suddenly sped forward and hit an old man. I saw a lot of blood on the old man. I got out of the car and looked from a distance. I thought he was dead. I panicked, got back in the car, and drove off in a hurry. Later, my conscience gnawed at me, but I was afraid to admit it because of my old parents and young kids at home. I was scared that hitting and killing someone would land me in jail. But now, I'm willing to accept punishment and sincerely apologize to the injured." As he spoke, Li Zhang suddenly knelt in front of Zhang Anping, pleading, "Uncle, I have an elderly mother at home and 2 young kids. I beg you. I was wrong, truly wrong. I'll cover all your medical expenses no matter how much. Please forgive me." Li Zhang was now in a pitiful state, completely devoid of his former arrogance, pleading continuously with Zhang Anping. This startled Zhang Anping, who had never seen a town mayor like this before. He kept looking over at his son, Zhang Anping. If it hadn't been for his son's persistence, he might have already been dead, buried in the mountains, with his body likely already rotting. So when he looked at Li Zhang, although he felt emotional, he couldn't help but step forward and slap Li Zhang across the face with all his strength. The slap was loud, and as soon as it landed, another slap followed. As the slap hit, a flash of resentment crossed Li Zhang's eyes, but he quickly lowered his head, not daring to meet Zhang Anping's gaze. He was afraid that if he looked, he wouldn't be able to keep up the act. "Why were you driving so fast? If you hit me, you could have just taken me to the hospital and saved me. But no, you just took off. Did you ever think that if my family had been poor, unable to afford medical treatment, would I have survived? If I hadn't made it, would you have lived carefree, getting away with killing someone and still living your days as if nothing happened? Conscience? Huh. If you had any conscience, why didn't you admit to it? When I was struggling in the hospital? Well done, truly. Zhang Anping couldn't help but praise his father here. My father used to live in the countryside because, honestly, it's really lonely sometimes. And this time my father can become so sober. I think it was also hospitalized twice. Hanging around the intersection of life and death several times, I suddenly realized and wanted to understand. On one side, Huang Jiansheng stood by the door. He frowned and looked at Zhang Yangbin. I just think this person is really hard to investigate. Don't you mean farmers? Li Zhang's attitude is so low, you have to push your luck. Sure enough, the poor mountains are the beginning of evil people. That young man must be his son. Young people are impulsive. He's not a reasonable person. Seeing my father beating people like this, I actually applaud it. Officer's son Li Zhang was beaten. Let's talk about compensation. I heard that the old gentleman who was hit was hospitalized. Don't worry, as long as it's a legitimate fee, we will bear all those with invoices. I just want to get the old man to issue an apology to Li Zhang. Interpretation. Wang Zhangsheng proposed this plan. He thinks Zhang Yangbin will definitely agree, because he is from the countryside. Uncle Zhang, why don't you discuss it? Or how much are you willing to compensate? These can be communicated. 40,000, we are willing to give 40,000 RMB. This money can buy 2 more buildings in the city, a single-door house. So, we are very sincere. You should be happy. Your father was in the hospital once. You can turn your family into a farmer. Villagers become city dwellers. You don't have to work hard to drive donkeys anymore. How good is Huang Zhangsheng's condescending words? Let Zhang Anping sneer. Okay, I hit him. Put him in the hospital twice. And stay in the hospital for a month or 2. Wandering between life and death several times. And then spent a week in intensive care. I gave him 40,000. Look how good it is. Young people should not speak so harshly. Don't be impulsive. You should choose what is most powerful for you. 40,000 block. You may not be able to earn it even if you work hard for half your life. You should thank us. Huang Zhangsheng looked at Zhang Anping, disgust in his eyes. This guy is a bit greedy, a rural. They are willing to lose money to save face. Then I hit you. I'll give you 40,000 bucks. Should you thank me too? Thank you for hitting you and giving you tens of thousands of dollars in compensation. I will say this to you today. I can tell you, your business is definitely not going far. Zhang Anping will only now. Why didn't Li Zhang take his life? When fame sees itself driving a donkey rampage, because in the eyes of him and his boss, life can be bought with money. I didn't see that she was already married. 40,000 a life. Such people are scum. People with such 3 perspectives are in business. Probably to make money, dare to do anything immoral, because they have no reverence for life. Heh. Young people, don't be impulsive, don't be impulsive. 40,000 a lot. You go back and think about it, and we'll talk about it again. Huang Zhangsheng smiled intimately, immediately expressed to Sun Yi. My driver Li Zhang hit a business person, but I think the 2 sides can discuss the issue of compensation. We are willing to compensate very actively. So Li Zhang's situation, the injured did not go to court to sue them. Without a court verdict, Li Zhang is not in good health either. There are many diseases in the body. You can request medical parole. Wait for the injured to discuss the result. They will actively cooperate with Zhang Yangbin.